Well, at Flextronics, the biggest issue we had to address was the fact that we have 80 different HR systems around the world. And we're a global company in 23 different countries. And so having a single record, a single database of employees is real important. First of all, I think it comes down to primarily the economics of it. What I love about software as a service is that the model fits. So the model for software as a service companies is more in line with the model that Flextronics and other large consumers are interested in. So our goals are more in line. At Flextronics, we want to keep things simple. We want to spend as little as possible on licenses as well. Obviously, we want to spend as little as possible on implementation costs, bringing up new systems, and have the use align with the company. We've been a high-growth company for the last 4 or 5 years. We've had downturns, so it's important to the company that IT be agile. So we need to be able to adjust, to scale up and down, to add functionality, add capability as the company needs it. And software as a service allows us to do it better. With software as a service, what we found is that the upfront costs are much less. When you compare it to a packaged software, typically you're investing millions of dollars up front to acquire licenses. You're spending millions up front with a third party to actually do the implementation. And then the model is you ride that as long as you can. And so you have a huge cash outlay in year 1, year 2, and then you sort of leverage that and ride it out as long as you can. And in theory, people feel like that becomes a tail, but the reality is you get 2 or 3 years down the road and the software company's coming back to you for additional investment, for an upgrade, for the new features, for the latest release, for security patches, whatever. Typically the third parties are motivated, are paid to try and encourage you to customize, to create additional capability, to add bells and whistles. And so, in the packaged software model, there's an awful lot of motivation, an awful lot of incentive for the software companies, for the third parties, to get you to buy more, to spend more, and to make things more complicated instead of simple, more difficult to manage. And of course, you have all the people and all the hardware in-house, if you choose to invest that way. With the software as a service model, it's the opposite. I mean, in this case, Workday wants to keep things as simple as possible, and it's the same for other SaaS companies. Their goal is to develop and deliver as much robustness in a way that's easy to use, easy to start up and get going, and allow then companies that are using their software to simply absorb each new release of functionality and capability. So for us, it's just a natural choice that the SaaS model aligns with our goals, which is keep it simple, go for speed, and make it as usable and as permeable as possible while having the agility and the ability to scale up or scale down as the business needs. So in terms of the impact on the IT team, again, I mentioned that one of the most attractive parts about SaaS is the reduced upfront investment. So you have much less cash out in year 1. The cash is kind of spread over the time, and it's more in line with your usage. So you consume more, you have more users, you spend more. If you reduce, then you would consume or spend less. And that's true for subscription fees, for the actual consumption of the application. But it's also true from an IT perspective in that upfront, I mean, Workday is doing the development, Workday is doing the configuration of the system, and Workday is doing the support of the system. So when I look at how it affects my IT team, if I were going with a packaged software, I would have a much larger IT organization, whether it was in-house, which is how we tend to do things at Flextronics, or whether it was with a third party because we had outsourced it. The number of IT people required to support a package software is much higher than it is for Workday. You have, first of all, the hardware, so I don't have to worry about the hardware, so I don't have to have Unix administrators or DBAs or anyone like that on staff. And then you've got the whole sort of the project management and business analyst aspect of it. What we've done in HR to support Workday is we have a very small team, a handful of folks that are process and data experts. They work hand in hand with HR. Many of them either have an HR background or it would be hard to tell them apart from HR, but they understand how Workday works, they understand the structure of the database, and spent time implementing it. And so that group is probably 1/3 the size of what it would have been with a major software package implementation. IT has got to continuously look at reducing costs. If you look at the amount of money a typical company spends on IT, it's usually one of the largest, if not the largest, expense. And so we're continuously, as CIOs, going to be challenged to reduce costs. It's just a fact of life. One of the easiest ways of doing that is to look at SaaS as an alternative, because you don't need to have all the people in-house. You're leveraging the shared resources, shared hardware, shared software from the companies. And so in this case, we're going to benefit, Flextronics will benefit from that with Workday.